Does anyone here remember who built the first bank? I highly doubt it. Maybe a handful of people might say yes. Or take the guy who figured out how to insure a ship. There is no statue of him anywhere. And yet without these ideas, this way of thinking, perhaps more things changed in history than through any war we have ever seen. And all of these ideas came from the same place, from a city built on top of a swamp. No land to farm, no army to defend yourself with, no logical reason to exist at all. And yet for 300 years, this city ran the world's money. So how did Venice do it? That is the question we are looking for the answer to. Did Venice do this through force? Absolutely not. It did it by building a system. And to understand that system, looking at how power actually works, will bring us closer to many historical truths. Does anyone know what it was like to move goods from one end of Europe to the other in the medieval period? I am genuinely asking. You cross mountains, you pay money at every border, you deal with bandits, half your goods disappear along the way. So most merchants did not even try. Why would they? The risk is too high, the profit uncertain. Venice had one card to play, its location. This city sat right at the top of the Adriatic Sea. If you wanted to move goods between the Middle East and Northern Europe, you had to go through Venice. There was no easy way around it, meaning you had no choice. But let us pay attention to something here. There were dozens of cities in the Mediterranean with advantageous locations. Why did none of them become Venice? That is the real question, because location is just the starting point. What you build on top of it, what you do, how you think, those are what actually matter. The first thing Venice found was a deal called the commenda. I know it sounds complicated, but it is actually very simple. Think of it this way. There is a wealthy man in Venice. He does not want to get on a ship, does not like the sea, or just prefers sitting at home. But he puts money into someone else's trading voyage. If the ship comes back, he gets a share of the profit. If the ship sinks, he loses his money. That is it. Nothing more. So, how was it before this? If you wanted to make money from trade, you had to go yourself. You risk your life, your health. Pirates were real, storms were real, diseases on ships were real. So the vast majority of wealthy people preferred to stay home and let their money sit. Who would go? The commenda changed this completely. Now a wealthy man could invest without leaving his house, and someone who was a good merchant but had no money could still organize a voyage if they found the right investors. Money and skill no longer had to belong to the same person. This is a very important point. Today we call this a limited liability company. Venice figured this out 800 years ago. 800 years ago. We cannot move on without talking about the arsenal. This was Venice's factory. At its peak, it was the largest industrial site in the world. It had 16,000 workers, and it could build a complete, fully equipped warship from scratch in a single day. Think about that. From scratch, in a single day. No other country could do this at that time, and that is exactly why Venice was so hard to beat. You sink one of their ships, they immediately build another one, fast. Attacking Venice was both expensive and pointless. The arsenal was not just a factory. It was a silent message sent to everyone in the Mediterranean. Do not try us. We will outlast you. One more thing. Workers at the arsenal received regular pay, were well fed, had housing. Venice understood this very well. A workforce you treat well shows up every day. A workforce you treat badly disappears at the exact moment you need them most. Today, we call this human resources management. Venice was putting this into practice 800 years ago. The Rialto, the place where all the money business happened. In the 1200s, it was the most advanced financial market in the world. Merchants did not just come there to buy and sell goods. They came to exchange currencies, take out loans, buy insurance, trade all kinds of financial instruments. Picture today's Wall Street, but 800 years ago, on the edge of a canal. Even currency exchange alone was a massive business. Venice sat at the intersection of three different worlds: the Byzantine world, the Islamic world, and Christian Europe. Each of these three worlds had different currencies, different weights, different purity levels. The money changers at the Rialto had to know all of it. Real-time exchange rate calculation, spotting fake coins, transferring value between different currencies without losing too much. Does it sound boring? It was actually one of the most technically demanding jobs in the medieval world. And insurance. Yes, insurance was also invented here. Picture a merchant shipping goods from Egypt. He pays a fee to a group of people who will cover his losses if something goes wrong. The fee changes based on how risky the voyage is. If the cargo is lost, they reimburse him. Sound familiar? Today, insurance still works exactly like this, and Lloyd's of London, that giant institution that was the center of global insurance for centuries, was built on this very idea that Venice invented. On Venice's idea, they also figured out how to transfer money without physically moving it. Think of it this way. There is a merchant in Venice who owes money to someone in Turkey. What does he do? Does he load up gold and send a ship? No, he writes a piece of paper. Just a piece of paper. And that paper gets converted into cash through a network of bankers stretching from Venice across Europe. No gold moves, no ship is sent. Just paper. Just trust. To understand how big this idea was, think about it like this. In that period, carrying gold meant risk. Pirates knew about gold. If a ship sank in a storm, the gold went with it. But paper? The value of the paper came from the trust placed in that network. And Venice had built that trust over years. When a merchant saw Venice's paper, he said, "This is good," because Venice always paid. Always. International banking started this way. Not in London, not in New York, in Venice. Next to a bridge over a canal, in the early hours of the morning, with a handshake between two merchants. Behind that handshake was trust. And that trust over time turned into a system. The system over time spread across the world. Today, when you send money from one bank account to another, without realizing it, you are inside the system those two merchants built. Venice knew something that most rulers of that era did not understand. Money and military power are actually the same thing. They just show themselves in different forms. The clearest example of this is the Fourth Crusade. Pay close attention now, because this part is genuinely interesting. The Crusaders needed ships. Venice had ships. A deal was made, but the Crusaders could not pay in full. And this is exactly where Venice's Doge, meaning its leader, Enrico Dandolo, stepped in. The man was 90 years old, nearly blind, and despite all these obstacles, he made one of the most clever commercial moves in history. He changed the route of the crusade. He directed the entire army toward Constantinople. When the city fell in 1204, do you know what happened? Venice took 3/8 of the Byzantine Empire. It took the key ports across the Aegean. It took trading rights that crushed every rival in the region. A 90-year-old, nearly blind man had turned a religious war into one of the biggest real estate deals in history. Think about this. The Crusaders had gone to fight for Jerusalem. Venice turned the war into a business opportunity. And who won? Venice. Always Venice. But Venice did not simply disappear. Its ideas did not disappear either. And this part is, in my opinion, one of the most striking parts of the story. Venetian bankers spread across Europe as the trade routes shifted. They packed up and left. But do you know what they took with them? Everything they had learned on the Rialto, the methods they developed, the ideas they found, the systems they built, all of it went with them. Where did those techniques go first? To Antwerp. In the 16th century, this was Europe's financial capital. The ideas coming from Venice grew and developed further there. Then they moved to Amsterdam. And what happened in Amsterdam? The first real company in history was founded, the Dutch East India Company. How did this company work? Shares that could be bought and sold. Risk spread across hundreds of investors. Professional management separate from ownership. If you look at the root of all of these things, what do you see? Venice, the Commenda, the Rialto, ideas found in a lagoon 150 years earlier. Then came London, the Bank of England, founded in 1694, used debt structures that Venice had pioneered centuries before. The insurance market at Lloyd's ran on Venetian principles. The Bill of Exchange system, the financial engine of the British Empire, meaning that piece of paper that moved money without moving gold. Where did it come from? From Venice, from the edge of a canal. Venice lost its empire. It lost its territories. It lost its power at sea, but it did not lose its financial playbook. That playbook became the operating system of the entire modern global economy. Think about this for a moment. Every stock you buy, every insurance policy you hold, every government bond in existence, every moment a bank lends money it does not physically have. All of it, but truly all of it, is built on ideas found by merchants sitting in a swamp 1,000 years ago. In a swamp, 1,000 years ago. The Rialto is a bridge for tourists now. Every day, thousands of tourists walk over it, take selfies, look at the canals. The Arsenal became a museum. Venice is slowly sinking into the sea. Literally. Every year, this city goes a few more millimeters down. Maybe one day, it'll be completely underwater. But do not forget this. That city sank, is sinking. Its ideas did not sink. The system they built is still running. It just moved. It moved to Amsterdam first, then to London, then to New York. And every time it moved, it took the same basic logic with it. Only the name of the city changed. The core of the system always stayed the same. So what does this teach us? It teaches us this. If you want to run the world, you do not need the biggest army. History has proven this many times over. What you need is this: to build the system that others depend on, to move their money through. If you can build that system once, you control everything that flows through it. And the power that controls that system, quietly, invisibly, but extremely effectively, runs the world. Rome controlled the sea lanes. Venice controlled the money behind the sea lanes. Britain did both. And America built the largest global financial order we have ever seen on top of that same idea. And that order is still standing, still running, still moving trillions of dollars every single day. The lagoon is quiet now. Gondolas drift slowly. Tourists take their photos, but the money that started in that swamp never stopped, and it never will. This is only the beginning.